Okay, so to start, the camera is following behind him, which brings more immersion into the character, like you are Chiron in this scene, sort of.
Hey, Mama.
You cannot be here.
Another thing to note is it is very like blue lighting, and this couch is blue, this shirt is blue, and kind of the overall scene has a bluish hue to it. And one more important thing to note: the mom's name is Paula, which is how we're gonna refer to it from now on.
Tonight, I got company coming.
So if you kind of look at Chiron's face, it's a little bit of a look of kind of like shock almost, but like a betrayal and a sort of like a not again sort of face, like this has happened before.
Find somewhere for you to be. Find somewhere for you to be.
So she's leaving the scene right now, which is a like a film choice. That means like they're just leaving the scene and the conversation. Like that is all she had to say in this scene, which is just like kind of get out of my house. You can't stay here tonight. And it's kind of a sad thing to see. That's all she was waiting there for, just to tell Chiron that he can't stay there, and then she leaves. So this immediately cuts to Teresa's house, and of course you can see like a very stark difference in lighting compared to the blue ones in Paula's house. It's just very like light. You can see this lamp is really like a yellowy, whitish kind of atmosphere, and of course there's this like yellow bowl. This painting's pretty like warmer colors, and the tablecloth obviously is very yellow.
All right.
Another important thing to see, you can see that he's eating, which is more of a familial thing to do, because like you eat with your family. And in the previous shot, he's not eating. I don't think he ever actually eats with Paula, and so it really shows that Teresa is more of his mother figure, and like Teresa is his real family. So it's nice.
Hey. Water for me and a little gin for you.
So this shot is looking like right at the back of Chiron's head, and in film, this is to show like what he's seeing. So you can see, like the table and Teresa a little bit. And if you kind of can remember, all of the scenes so far are very personable. Like they always show either over-the-shoulder shots or kind of they just cut to a close-up of their face. And this is a use from the director to kind of show the daily life of Chiron. He gets kicked out by his mom, and then he ends up going to Teresa's house. So it's just a little glimpse into his life.
Boy, please. I know wine used to give you that gin, but we ain't doing that up in here, shouted. You don't think my joke was funny? What's wrong?
Nothing. I'm good.
No.
So you can see that Chiron is still a man of very few words, and Teresa is the first person to kind of initiate the conversation. And it shows that even though he's at home, he still finds it difficult to express himself. So he only talks with like, I'm good or it's okay. But we'll see Toby talk a little more about that in the next scene.
I done seen good, and you ain't it. And stop putting your head down in my house. You know my rule. It's all love and all pride in this house. You feel me? I can't hear you. Do you feel me?
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel you.
All right.
So for this part of the scene, the primary angle is an over-the-shoulder shot, which shows that Teresa is focusing on Chiron. For the parts where the camera swaps perspectives and shows Teresa's face, it shows her looking at Chiron. These types of shots both show the care that Teresa gives for Chiron. Chiron is initially not responsive to what Teresa says. Teresa doesn't seem very bothered by this until she demands that Chiron keep his head up in her house, which he doesn't acknowledge verbally. After a few seconds, you can see Teresa tilting her head and then telling Chiron, I can't hear you. Do you feel me? to which Chiron responds, "Yeah, I feel you." This exchange, while small, demonstrates that Teresa really values Chiron being able to be himself around her and in her environment. Additionally, the settings and props, being Teresa's kitchen full of lamps, paintings, curtains, and chairs, are generally softer tones and blend in well with the background. This makes it easier to focus on Chiron and Teresa's interaction, while reminding us that the scene is in Teresa's house, an environment where Chiron ought to feel safe.
Thank you for this.
Boy, please. You know you can stay here anytime you need to. Okay? Anytime.
Yeah. Thank you, Teresa. I mean it.
Now, if you're gonna stay here, though, you're gonna have to learn how to make a bed better than this boy.
What?
What you mean, what? Give me that. That ain't how you make up no bed. Yeah, you think you slick, too. You're gonna do it all wrong so Teresa can come over here and do it right.
So in this scene, Chiron starts to make his bed when Teresa walks in. The lighting in the bedroom is consistent with the kitchen, which reminds us that Chiron is in Teresa's house without directly telling us. Additionally, this is one of the few times in the movie where Chiron genuinely smiles and laughs. This shows he enjoys Teresa's company and, to some degree, feels safe to express emotions he typically would not around her. Because this is one of the few times he actually smiles and laughs, this simple expression is even more powerful.
I know what you're doing. Oof. You and wine. Y'all two, thick as thieves. Give me that.
So while this scene may otherwise be thought of as unimportant, it's interesting to think about why the director chose to include it, instead of, for instance, a scene where Chiron shows up at Teresa's house after being kicked out by his mom for the night. However, there's a difference between this hypothetical scene and the one we see in the movie. In the hypothetical, where Chiron shows up at Teresa's doorstep at night, he would act as the initiator of their interaction. In the actual scenes shown so far, Teresa consistently acts as the initiator of their interactions, revealing how the directors want us, the audience, to view Teresa and Chiron's relationship, where in this sense, Teresa demonstrates more care for Chiron than Chiron does for her. Finally, Teresa compares Chiron to Juan by calling them both thick as thieves. Even though Juan is not Chiron's biological father, it's interesting that Teresa notices similarities between them. This connects to a concept that Tatum explores in her book, being the idea of nature versus nurture, or how one's heredity and how their environment impact them differently. Since Chiron seems to have been primarily raised by Juan and Teresa, this scene shows that he has been impacted by people outside of his biological family.